I know that this is a crisis in the European Union which is much bigger than the Greek crisis. Why? Because what seemed to be overcome, namely the divide between East and West, when one started to focus more on the North-South divide in Europe with the economic crisis, with Greece, with Spain, with Portugal, but also with Italy, this is now back with full force. And the Visegrad Four, for example, is refusing completely to take any responsibility for what is happening in Europe at the moment, which means a complete lack of solidarity. And this comes from countries that have been calling for solidarity for a long time and also have been shown solidarity for a long time. In 1956, 180,000 Hungarians in a few days came to Austria. It is as if that has never happened. In 1989, of course, there were self-interest from West Europe, new markets opening up and all that, but to a great extent, it was also a question of solidarity that was shown from Western Europe to Eastern Europe. It is as if this didn't happen. And this divide, I think this is a real shock, I think, for Western European countries. I'm not saying now that the opinion in Western Europe is all pro taking in as many refugees as possible. There's big divides within Western European countries as well. But the complete lack of solidarity is a shock, I think, for the system. I really don't think that the reaction now of the governments in Hungary, in Poland, in the Czech Republic, in Slovakia, but also in the Baltic countries, I don't think that is an effect of a disappointment of joining the European Union. I think your analysis is absolutely correct. This is much more messy, much more complex than anyone, so to say, thinks when one is arguing and seeing this big vision. But one of the things that it means is that one is not only receiving solidarity, one is also showing solidarity. One is taking a common responsibility. To be honest, I think the Shengen agreement is now withering. It's not there anymore. This is the starting point of, I think, a real divide in Europe, which is actually not so much anymore the North-South divide, but really the East-West divide again. And what will that mean in combination with the North-South conflict or the economic crisis? I think it will mean that the idea of a core Europe is back. This reaction now from the Western European countries towards the lack of solidarity of the Visegrad countries, for example, is bad for Ukraine. Ukraine has not said anything about this and has not been asked about this refugee crisis at all, but it's bad for Ukraine because it is opening up the divide between West and East, and Ukraine belongs to the East. So bad for Ukraine. But in another way, I think it might actually be good for Ukraine's European ambitions and whatever, because I think what will happen is that the idea of a core Europe is back on the agenda, which means that there are some countries that are ready to cooperate closer. And around this core, which contains Germany, for example, and the Benelux countries and so on, but around this core of European countries that take integration far, there will be circles of more or less European integration. And in that process, I think there's suddenly room for Ukraine, which it is not at the moment. So I think that this is actually both bad and good for Ukraine. Well, Orban is concerned with power and remaining in power. And it's not so that he doesn't have some kind of support in the Hungarian population for what he's doing when he's building fences and is saying that other countries might want to receive Muslims, we don't, because we're a Christian nation. He has support in the population. It's of course the same thing in just take Germany as one example. I mean, Angela Merkel everyone is now doing so that if she turns from Hitler in the Greek crisis to Mother Teresa in the refugee crisis in 1 week, right? This
was exactly her name. What the refugees were shouting at the fence: "Merkel, where are you?" and "Merkel, please come and help." They were shouting this. Actually.
Yeah, and she was, and I think she did a marvelous thing when she. And I don't doubt her engagement and her dedication to this issue. But of course it's not so that it's completely, what should I call it, completely without self-interest. I mean, this is the same in every European country. If you look at demographic statistics and all that, Germany has said that, okay, we will be able to receive 500,000, 500,000 per year for 5 years. That's 2.5 million. Refugees coming to Germany. Many of these are very motivated, flexible. Many of them are actually also well educated and have lots of ambition. So Germany is now getting a lot of good people that can contribute to the German economy and help settle this imbalance in the demographic statistics.